You aren't Michael Jordan. Stephen A. Smith torches LeBron James' GOAT status with choke job tag while blasting him for dodging accountability. Stephen A. Smith has never been one to mince words when it comes to the NBA's biggest stars, and this week, he set social media ablaze with a fiery takedown of LeBron James' legacy. During a heated segment on First Take, the outspoken analyst unleashed one of his most brutal rants yet, calling out LeBron for what he labeled a choke job performance in a crucial game and accusing the Lakers' superstar of dodging accountability afterward. But it wasn't just criticism of one bad night. Stephen A. went further, questioning LeBron's GOAT status entirely and drawing a sharp line between him and the player most people still consider untouchable, Michael Jordan. You aren't Michael Jordan, Stephen A. declared, shaking his head in disbelief. When the moment called for greatness, you shrank. Jordan never ran from the smoke. Jordan owned his failures. LeBron, you can't have it both ways. You can't call yourself the GOAT and then duck accountability when things go south. The rant immediately went viral, sparking an all-out debate across the basketball world about whether Stephen A. had gone too far or simply said what many have been thinking for years. 1. The breaking point, LeBron's latest collapse. Stephen A.'s tirade didn't come out of nowhere. It followed LeBron's disappointing performance in a game the Lakers desperately needed to win, one where James finished with pedestrian numbers, missed crucial free throws, and appeared disengaged during the closing stretch. To make matters worse, when reporters asked about his poor showing, LeBron deflected blame, focusing instead on officiating and the team's lack of rhythm. For Stephen A., that was a final straw. He exploded on air the next morning, saying LeBron's unwillingness to own up to his mistakes represented everything wrong with his public image as a self-proclaimed GOAT. Smith's main argument was simple. Great players take responsibility. Michael Jordan would have looked the media dead in the eye and said, "I was trash tonight. I'll fix it." "That's a difference," he shouted. LeBron wants to be celebrated like Jordan, but he doesn't want the accountability that comes with it. Fans immediately flooded social media with clips from both the game and the rant, reigniting the age-old debate, LeBron versus MJ. But this time with a new twist. Was LeBron's mental toughness now his biggest flaw? 2. Stephen A.'s harshest words yet. If there's one thing Stephen A. is known for, it's passion. But this time, his tone wasn't just loud, it was personal. LeBron James is all-time great. Top 2, maybe top 3. Nobody denies that, Smith said, before lowering his voice for effect. But what separates him from Jordan, what separates him from Kobe, is killer instinct. When it's time to dominate, LeBron overthinks. He freezes. He passes the ball when greatness demands you take the shot. That's what I mean when I say choke job. He went on to highlight past examples, the 2011 NBA Finals against Dallas, several key playoff moments where LeBron deferred instead of attacking, and more recent instances where he seemed to lose composure in crunch time. It's not about stats, Stephen A. argued. It's about moments. And when the moment's biggest, Jordan owned it. LeBron, too often, avoids it. That's why, for me, he'll never be MJ. Those comments drew reaction from every corner of the basketball world. Some fans agreed wholeheartedly, saying LeBron's tendency to deflect criticism had always been his Achilles heel. Others accused Stephen A. of sensationalism, arguing that no other player in history has faced the same level of scrutiny for his every move. But regardless of which side fans were on, one thing was clear. Stephen A.'s words hit a nerve. 3. Accountability versus excuses. The core of the debate. At the heart of Stephen A.'s rant was one word, accountability. He believes LeBron's greatness has never been in question, but his willingness to own his shortcomings has. You can't be the face of the league for 20 years and keep sidestepping when things go wrong, Stephen A. said. Leadership isn't just about celebrating wins. It's about standing tall after losses. He compared LeBron's post-game demeanor to that of other legends, players like Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Tim Duncan, all of whom face adversity head-on. You never heard MJ blaming teammates. You never heard Kobe saying, "We didn't have rhythm." "Nah," they said, "I didn't get it done." That's leadership. That's accountability. Stephen A. even brought up the contrast between LeBron's public persona and his behind-the-scenes influence, implying that while James controls the narrative when things go well, he distances himself when they don't. You can't have that much power in your organization, handpick teammates, shape rosters, influence coaches, and then act like you're just one of the guys when you lose. That's not GOAT behavior. That's politics. 4. The LeBron Loyalists fight back. Naturally, not everyone agreed. Within hours of the clip going viral, LeBron's most loyal supporters, including former players and media personalities, fired back at Stephen A. They pointed out LeBron's record-breaking longevity, his 4 championships, and the sheer weight of expectation he's carried since age 18. LeBron's been in the spotlight for 2 decades, former teammate Richard Jefferson said on his podcast. He's taken more criticism than any player in history and still delivered greatness. Calling that a choke job is lazy. Others argued that Stephen A.'s comparison to Jordan was unfair, given the vastly different eras and contexts of their careers. But Smith refused to back down. In a follow-up segment, he doubled down on his stance, clarifying that his comments weren't about disrespecting LeBron's legacy. They were about accountability in this moment. "I'm not saying LeBron isn't an all-time great," he insisted. "I'm saying that right now, at this stage of his career, he's acting like the rules don't apply to him. You can't dodge the smoke and still call yourself the GOAT." 5. The broader meaning, legacy under pressure. Beyond the heated back and forth, Stephen A.'s rant reignited an uncomfortable question that has followed LeBron his entire career. How will his legacy truly be remembered? Statistically, he's rewriting the record books. He's the NBA's all-time leading scorer, a 4-time champion, and a player whose influence extends far beyond basketball. But emotionally, the debate around his mentality continues to haunt him. Jordan fans argue that dominance isn't just about numbers. It's about attitude, ruthlessness, and unflinching accountability. And that's exactly what Stephen A. hammered home. LeBron wants the crown, but doesn't always want the consequences, he said. Jordan lived for the consequences. That's why one is a standard, and the other is chasing it. The irony, of course, is that LeBron himself has often claimed he doesn't care about the GOAT debate, but moments like this prove the conversation is unavoidable. Every missed opportunity, every press conference soundbite, every critical take from a voice like Stephen A. adds another layer to a career that remains under the brightest microscope in sports. Final thoughts. The fire that fuels the debate.